Public transportation, it's one of those things you don't think about until you move to Powell or Cody, Wyoming, and suddenly realize it simply does not exist in the way normal humans expect it to. In most towns, you have buses, shuttles, maybe a train if you're fancy. Here, we have hope, prayers, and the occasional volunteer driving vans that stops running the moment the sun even thinks about setting. Let's start with Cody. Because Cody really said public bus systems? Absolutely not. According to CodyWyoming.net, the town quite literally has no public bus systems. Instead, they offer trolley tours in the summer, which is perfect, assuming your transportation needs revolve entirely around sightseeing and pretending to be a tourist. Cody's only real year-round option is the door-to-door senior ride program run by the Cody Council on Aging, which is amazing if you're 65 plus and don't mind scheduling your entire life around their calendar. And for everyone else, Cody has one private taxi company, Cody Cab. But Cody Cab is not exactly reliable. You call, and maybe they answer, maybe they don't, and maybe they are already busy carrying tourists around. And the price? A short ride that would be $2 on a real city bus can cost from $10 to $20 here. Now, let's move to Powell. Powell technically advertises something called public transportation, which is adorable. The Powell Senior Center runs a tiny transportation service with a couple of ADA vans, but they operate only within a 10-mile radius and only until mid-afternoon. Their rides usually cost $2 to $4, which sounds nice until you realize the service shuts down before many people even finish work. Now, let's add the part that makes all of this even more ridiculous. Northwest College sits in the middle of Powell, and Northwest College is famous not for its buses, not for its convenient commute, but for its huge international student. College Commission describes Northwest College as having a vibrant international student population, and the Powell Tribune reported that the college enrolled 104 international students, a school record which happened last year. Imagine being a student in a rural town with no bus system. You need groceries, but Walmart is miles away. You work an evening shift, but the only community transportation stops running in the afternoon. You have a doctor's appointment in Cody, but there is no bus between the two towns. So the student begins the ancient Wyoming transportation ritual. Step 1, ask your roommate. Step 2, ask your teammate. Step 3, ask your professor. Step 4, consider dropping out. And finally, step 5, start walking. Transportation in Powell and Cody isn't just a minor annoyance, it's a barrier. A real, daily, exhausting barrier that decides where people can work, what appointments they can make, which classes they can attend, and how independent they can be. And that brings us to what comes next, because complaining is fun, but fixing it is even better. So now I'm going to pass it over to the next speaker, who will explain what a real solution could look like. Thank you. Logan?
Record. Thanks, Seid. So, you have heard our issues. So what is the solution we came up with? Well, it would be to start a bus route that runs between Cody and Powell almost every day, while also having one that runs up to Billings semi-regularly. Our thoughts are that this would be a college-sponsored bus, so that all the profits would go straight into the college pockets. The bus ride would not be free, as the logistics of that would be a nightmare, but we'll get into that later. For the Powell to Cody bus, our thought is that it would start at the college in the morning, have a designated pickup spot on campus before heading to the downtown public parking area to pick up more people while not being in the way of Powell's most busy street. It would then head to Cody, where it would hit the 3 most common areas residents of Powell would need. First is the Cody Airport. Though not as commonly used, it is a frequent stop for international students coming into our college and is a viable option for locals vacationing, as the only flights that come in and out of the airport are from Denver. Second spot would be City Park. City Park is at the heart of Cody, with downtown being to the east and the hospital being to the west. Those first 2 spots take care of about half of what people need. The last spot, which is what most college students would use for, trips to Walmart. Walmart is the biggest store in our area by country miles. Students make entire days out of shopping trips. Also, it is right next to the Cathcart building, which hosts many medical doctors. The bus would wait for about an hour or so before doing the reverse route back, picking up anyone who needs it on the way. The bus would make this trip roughly 3 to 4 times a day, depending on weather and actual usage. Now, the other bus is not one that would run every day, but 2 to 3 times a week, depending once again on usage weather. During winter months, we would estimate that it might only run once a week, while at finals time and during the summer, it might run much more often. The Billings route would start same pickups locations before heading to Billings on the route that goes through Cali, a relatively safe route all year round. Choices of where the bus to stop were harder. With how big Billings is, we had to narrow it down. But we did. We narrowed it down to these 3 spots. First, of course, is the obvious Billings Logan International Airport. The most obvious choice, as not only would it be beneficial to the international students at the college, both coming in and going home, it also would be useful for locals who are going on vacation. Next is a little bit weirder. Stick with me. I would say the second stop should be 270 North 10th Street. Now, to most of you, that sounds like a random spot, but it is actually in the heart of downtown Billings, near multiple businesses, and the hospital not being too far away. Last spot would be the mall. Though not as popular anymore, it is still a big enough location that both students and the public love to frequent. It is also big enough the bus could sit there for about an hour before doing the trip back and picking up anyone who needed. This would give ample time for people to do the shopping they needed as well, or they could just wait for a second route, or the bus to come back for its second round trip. So, who does this benefit? First obvious group is our international students. Given how they don't have their own vehicles, as Seid mentioned earlier, they are at the whims of other people. And especially when they first get in here, they do not have a lot of connections or people that are able to help them. And they are at the whims of our international staff. This gives them a second option if they want to be a little bit more independent. The bus would also make the end of the year easier when they're all trying to get to airports so they can go home. The next group it would benefit is the locals, as they frequently have to make trips out to Billings for doctor's appointments or airports, and sometimes their vehicles do not want to cooperate or they don't want to pay for Billings parking. The last group that would benefit from this greatly would be the tourists. At its core, both Cody and Powell are tourist towns, relying on the tourists in the summer months to greatly boost our local economy. Having a bus route that takes people to our most popular spots in both towns would be a great way to increase revenue and make our area a much more desirable tourist destination. Now, let's go to Mason to talk about logistics.
Thank you, Logan, for doing so well on the presentation here. As I kind of get into my side of things, I was tasked with looking at how much something like this would cost to operate a shuttle service between Cody and Billings, how much it would cost to operate, what the financials would be like, and what it would require to get underway. So the original plan was a shuttle bus link between Cody and Billings with specific stops at the Cody Airport and the Billings Airport. That right there would allow passengers or customers to travel between the two cities to catch a flight or to return home. The key benefits of this are you wouldn't have to pay for parking. Parking up in Billings right now is $15 a day. In the long-term lot, which is quite expensive, and if you're gone for multiple days at a time, can really add up. Some figures for you here. So 37,437 people implaned, so got on board an airplane in Cody in 2024. We don't have the figures for 2025 currently yet, as they're still being finalized. And then in Billings, 490,529 people deplaned or arrived in Billings. Now, obviously, not all of these people would be transferring between the two cities of Cody and Billings. However, if you look at the figures, 37,000 people, When you look at the cost of airlines, Billings is generally cheaper than flying out of Cody, but for most people in Cody, it's the convenience of not having to drive to Billings, pay to park, and then drive home at the end of your trip. So it's about 110 miles each way between the city pairs. As the bus would go from Cody to Billings, it would stop in Powell, Wyoming. This would also help with the ability to pick up college students from Northwest College, be able to shuttle them to Billings if they needed to get groceries or if they wanted entertainment for the day. It's a one-way distance of about 110 miles, about 2 hours each way, so it's about a 4-hour round trip, and the round trip distance 220 miles. Now, from the information that I've been able to collect, you would need around 10 to 15 riders per day to make the bus successful. Now, one thing that would be, we'd have to figure out is whether or not the bus service would be something that was subsidized by a local government or a state government, or if it was something that the college would subsidize, or if it would just be a privately owned entity and require passengers to go back and forth. Now, from what I found here, and there's not much information between the two, but we're looking at about a $30 ticket would cover the price of the company in the wintertime. So you're needing at least 1 to 2 drivers to cover the bus trips. Usually 1 round trip a day is what I was thinking. And then, so 2 drivers to cover that. And then a couple people to, do maintenance on the bus and perform kind of overall logistics with the company. A plus of this would be it could be given out to college students, as drivers, someone who could drive the bus round trip up there and make a little money. So we're looking at about 143 passengers a day, 143 passengers a week would be the ultimate goal to make the bus line profitable. Now, the perk is in the summertime when Cody is much busier with tourist season. You might have a lot higher numbers passengers who fly into Billings and then take the bus service down to Cody to start their Yellowstone vacation. But those numbers are kind of hard to find of how many people are transiting from the Billings region down to Cody. But in all honesty, it seems like something that would be very beneficial for the economies of Cody and Powell, as it would give Powell students and Cody residents the ability to get between Cody and Billings, not have to drive their own vehicle, and for a small fee they would have the ability to be between the two. If they want to fly out of one of the city pairs, they could, or if they needed to go shopping and didn't want to drive. So yeah, that's what I found. I think we did a really good job on this project, and I'm grateful for both my colleagues. So thank you.